तुम जो भी बोलोगे सब सुनाई खुसर खुसर।
Yes, over to you, Dr. Shalini.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Adarsh Pandey, convener of this lecture series. And very good morning to all of you present over here. Myself, Dr. Shalini Saxena, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Bareilly College, Bareilly. Welcome you all in the lecture series 4 of Invited Lecture Series 4, organized by Department of Botany, Bareilly College, Bareilly, Botanical Association, and in collaboration with Department of Botany, SS College, Shajapur, and SRB. I welcome you all at the third session of this series. I'm truly delighted to welcome Dr. Lalit Tiwari, Professor Lalit Tiwari, Humayun University, Nainital. We welcome you, sir. Sir, on behalf of our complete team. I welcome all other dignitaries, my friends, my colleagues, and dear participants. Learning never exhausts mind. With these words, now I would like to invite Dr. Asha Rani to introduce our lecture, our chief guest or speaker of the day, Dr. Lalit Tiwari. Over to you, Dr. Asha.
Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Shalini. Good morning to all. Today we have Dr. Lalit Tiwari with us. Dr. Tiwari is Professor of Botany in Kumaon University, Nainital, Uttarakhand. He has published 150 papers, 12 books, 50 popular articles, and edited 10 magazines on Uttarakhand culture. Dr. Tiwari has completed 10 scientific projects. He mentored 32 PhD scholars. He has been awarded with Uttarakhand Ratna and got 2 times Governor Certificate for NSS as he was the coordinator of the same for 5 years. He got BT Goods Lifetime Achievement Award. Professor Tiwari is the fellow of IBS. Sir, we would like you to bestow your knowledge upon us. You're most welcome, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Asarani.
सर आपको अपना प्रेजेंटेशन रिज्यूम करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि किसी और ने अपना प्रेजेंटेशन कर दिया तो आपका प्रेजेंटेशन फिलहाल ऑफ हो गया। तो आप उसी प्रेजेंट नाउ में जाएंगे तो रिज्यूम प्रेजेंटेशन आएगा, वहां से आप रिज्यूम कर दीजिए सर। शालिनी सबसे बोल दो कि कोई भी अपने आप को स्क्रीन प्रेजेंटेशन ना करे, क्योंकि जब कोई स्क्रीन प्रेजेंट करेगा तो जो हमारे स्पीकर है उसका स्क्रीन प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ हो जाता है। फिर उनको
Dear students,
so I have to start with resume, ना?
हाँ, रिज्यूम
आप लोग कोई स्क्रीन शेयर मत करिए।
जिन लोगों का लाउड हो रहा है प्लीज वो अनम्यूट कर दीजिए प्लीज।
यस नाउ ओके सर, ओके प्लीज कैरी ऑन, थैंक यू।
पंडित जी मेरा प्रेजेंटेशन दिख रहा है?
हाँ सर दिख रहा है, अब आप स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं।
लेकिन वो आगे नहीं बढ़ रहा है अभी, जरा एक मिनट।
सर एरो की से आगे बढ़ेगा सर?
ना नहीं बढ़ रहा है ना उससे आगे। बढ़ रहा है यार वो, उन्होंने दोबारा कराया ना।
सर आप इसको दोबारा से कर दीजिए, शायद हैंग हो गया है।
उठाने ज्यादा बढ़ेगा यहाँ पर कैसे ज्यादा बढ़ेगा इसके आउट।
सर आप एक बार लीव करके दोबारा जुड़ जाइए। एक बार
थैंक यू।
एक बार लीव करके सर आप दोबारा जुड़ जाइए, हो जाएगा सर, कोई दिक्कत नहीं।
दोबारा से जुड़ जाओगे तुम।
एक बार लीव करके और दोबारा जुड़ जाइए।
एक बार लीव।
Good morning, Shalini ma'am. Good morning, Akash sir. And good morning, everybody.
गुड मॉर्निंग मैम।
सर आप इस प्रेजेंटेशन को एक बार ऑफ कर दीजिए, ऊपर से क्रॉस कर दीजिए सर, और दोबारा से ओपन कीजिए इसको। अपने कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन पे प्रेजेंटेशन को क्रॉस करके
फिर दोबारा से ऑन करके करें।
जी सर, आप दोबारा ऑन करिए।
प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ करना।
प्रेजेंटेशन को एक बार बंद करके दोबारा ऑन कीजिए और फिर
जी।
शेयर कीजिए सर।
खुला ही नहीं हो रहा।
बंद करना पड़ेगा,
इससे लग खोलना पड़ेगा।
मीट को मिनिमाइज कर लीजिए सर।
जी जी।
जी सर, अब ऑन हो गया है सर।
जी।
आप बढ़ा के देख लीजिए एक बार सर, बढ़ रहा है।
स्लाइड अप करिए सर, एक बार ट्राई कीजिए।
चलो।
फेस प्रेजेंट कर लगा बड़ा मैं तो कर लो प्रेजेंट हो गया
आगे नहीं बढ़ रहा।
ये तो बड़ा है दूसरी जगह से फोटो नहीं दिखेगी तुमको
कोई बात नहीं।
हो रहा है सर, अब बढ़ रहा है।
अब now it's okay ना?
Yes, sir.
It's okay.
Yes, sir, it's okay. Thank you so much, sir. Most welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for inconvenience.
No, it's okay.
No,
It's
no
okay, sir.
problem, sir. No.
It
Okay, sir.
happens.
It's okay, sir.
Very good morning to all of you, and head of the department, Dr. Alok Khare, and Dr. Salini, Dr. Asarani, and all Dr. Yogesh Pandey. So before going into the formalities, so I welcome all and thank you for all for sharing my views with you. So I start my talk on biodiversity and medicinal plant, their distribution and status. So as the biodiversity means the जिसमें जीवन है उस जीवन को एकत्रित करना या उस जीवन की परिभाषा को बनाने के लिए ये बायोडायवर्सिटी का टर्म आया और उसी बायोडायवर्सिटी के टर्म को द टर्म बायोलॉजिकल डायवर्सिटी वाज डिस्कवर्ड बाय थॉमस लावेजोव in 1980 and put forward by Norse and McManus in 1980. The biodiversity term was coined by entomologist E.O. Wilson in 1986, and as I just started the talk, and all the lives they comes into the one platform, and this is technically this is called the biodiversity. So biodiversity means the total of different species of animals, plants, microbes living in a on the earth on a variety of habitat. So now the another question comes in your mind that how many species may be there? As you know that there are 17 lakh 50,000 species has been identified till today. But biologists estimated that 5 to 15 million species may be existing, and some biologists suggesting that there are 100 million species are existing over the earth. So out of these 100 millions or either the 5 to 15 millions, there may be the 80% of the microbes as well as the arthropods. Now the another question is also been there. So the point is that the biodiversity is very important to the human being, because human is a climax of the biodiversity, because it can control, or either the human can control all the activities of the biodiversity, and he is also responsible, or she is also responsible for the harsh activities and whatsoever we are getting in today, like the what we can say the climate change and other aspects of the environment due to our over greedy problems, we can say. So the biodiversity greatest value is still unknown, and only the 20% of its estimated cost has been identified. And this is nearly 5 to 30% of the GDP of different countries is related to the biodiversity, or it is based on the biodiversity. 11% of the world economy, which is costing around $26 trillion, that comes from the biodiversity. The species of a living being are lost at alarming stage. Now, this is a very serious one, and the scientists around the world are categorizing and studying global biodiversity in hope that they might better understand or at least slow down the rate of the loss. The assembly in 1992, when all the humans of different countries, you can say, or the scientists of different countries, they have met in one place which is known as the Rio de Janeiro, and from which the 5 June 1992, and this has been attended by the 156 countries, and they signed the 1 to 42 articles for the conservation of the biodiversity. So this is the basic point, or the initiation one, when we are thinking about the biodiversity, how we can save the biodiversity. As there's a very simple aspect of the biodiversity is biodiversity. The life is going to start with the biodiversity, starting from food, shelter, clothing to the medicinal plant, all over the human. If I'm just talking about the how the plants, how the human is using the plants. So the 40,000 species of the plants as well as the animals that's been used by the human being. And of what we can say the domestic plants, the animals, they are now called the domestic. So they comes from the wild ancestors. So all of them, all the plant species or all the animal species, they comes from the wild, and later on they become domesticated. 40% of the pharmaceuticals used in USA are either based on plant, animal, as well as the microorganism. And these are the serious questions or serious problems which has been cited and which has been thought by the biologists or the environmentalists. and they suggested that there should be a comprehensive plan. So that's why they have recognized the Convention on Biological Diversity. So this is an international agreement on related to the various issues of biodiversity in holistic as well as the comprehensive manner. For example, there are 3 basic questions which has been identified by the CBD, and this is a sustainable use of its components. So what we can say sustainable means that how we can save the whatsoever we are getting in at the present, we have to save it to the next generation. So this is a sustainability, and the fair and equitable sharing of the benefits arising from the use of the genetic resources. So whatsoever, either some people are residing at particular hilly areas, or some people are residing at plains areas. So this is again the question that the equal benefits must be given for the genetic resources. And then the basic or very important question that has been raised. So this is a conservation of the biological diversity. This is a very important aspect. If I'm just going to talk about that, Watson and Haywood identified that how many species of different components of biodiversity are existing at present. For example, the virus, 4,000 species of virus has been identified, and it may be possible that the 4 lakhs may be existing. Even in the bacteria, 4,000 has been identified. It may be possible that the 10 lakh species may be existing into the universe. Even the fungi, 72,000 species has been identified. 15 lakhs may be existing. It's same for the protozoa, algae, higher plants. Even the jointed lakhs number is more. So the animals is 2,50,000, 55,000 animals has been identified as a species wise. But it may be possible that the 9 lakh animal species may be existing into the this earth. So the total number of identified species, including the human being, is 17 lakh. 50,000 species has been identified, and it may be the what we can say the inference, or it may be the possible that the 9 crore 37 lakh 20,000 species may be existing. So still a possibility that the many more number of species are existing, which we have to identify that there. This is also the open field for the researchers to identify these species and to find that what is the impact into the environmental and various aspects of the universe or the earth. So another one is that if I'm just restricting myself into the plant species, so angiosperm, 250,000 species of angiosperms has been identified throughout the world, and in India, 15,000 species has been identified. So India is representing only the 6% of this angiospermic flora. And in gymnosperm, 64 species of gymnosperms has been recognized from India. The Pteridophyta, as per the Dixit record, 1,022 species of Pteridophyta has been recognized from India. The Bryophyta, out of 24,000 species of Bryophyta, 2,584 species has been identified from India. And even for the algae, and algae is representing in by the India is 6.25% of algae has been recognized in India. Even the fungi, 23,000 species of fungi has been identified. So this is the highest among what we can say the plant amongst the plant category. However, this has been separated now, but this comes under the plant category. So 31.94% of the fungi has been recognized by the Indian soil. Or the bacteria, the 21.25% of the bacteria has been identified from India. So the out of total 4,36,000 species, India has been recognized with the 46,610, and this is nearly a 10.69%, which has been identified, you can say. Now, another point comes to mind, as we just talk about that, how many numbers are there, how many the different species are existing, and they are making the biodiversity. Either we just talk about the plant diversity. Now, another point is that the economy is related to the biodiversity. So this is a very interesting aspect. And Pimentel et al. In 1997, he published a paper in Science. He suggests, he calculated that 10,000 chemicals comes directly from plants. Even there, the biodiversity, they are also providing the genetic resource, which is going to increase by 30%. These are the genes have been provided for plant breeding. Even the microbes, they are working for killing the waste. The $150 million comes from this killing waste by the activities of the microbes. Even the soil formation, earthworm, 10 to 15 million tons soil per hectare has been formed. And even the nitrogen fixation, 90 million tons which is costing around $90 billion. That has comes from nitrogen fixation. This is a work of the bacteria. The bioremediation of 70,000 chemicals has also been recognized by the microbes, even for the pollination, cross-pollination, and by which 130 crop insected pollination, the pollinated by the insect. So even we are just visiting the parks also, like the Corbett Park, like the Dudhwa Park, many parks, wildlife parks is there, and Sanctuary has also been there. So they have been charging them. So while animal ecotourism, they are also providing the $40 million in a year. Even for the food and pharmaceuticals, the $36 billion has been earned by through the biodiversity. Even for the net carbon accumulation, $90 million has been recognized by the activity of the biodiversity. So biodiversity is not only the what we can say the sum total of all living organisms of plants as well as the animals as well as the microbes, but they are also giving us the $26 trillion in a year. And this is around the world economy. This is a sharing partnership. 11% of the world economy is based on the biodiversity. Now, another point, as we just talk about the biodiversity, so now another point comes into mind that the medicinal plants, because once we are recognizing them, हम कभी भी जब बात करते हैं जैव विविधता की, तो हमारे दिमाग में एक ही विचार आता है कि कैसे हमको दवा मिल जाए, क्योंकि जो इंसान ने जो अपनी एक्टिविटीज से इस पर्यावरण को प्रदूषित किया है, उससे कई सारी दिक्कतें इंसानों को आने लगी हैं। तो वही वो सिलसिला जब इंसान का उद्भव हुआ, जब इंसान इस पृथ्वी पर आया, तब से ये समस्या लगातार बनती रही है, चलती रही है। और इसीलिए थियोफ्रास्टस जो एक वैद्य थे, अरस्तु साहब के चेले थे, उनको रिकॉग्नाइज किया जाता है कि वो एक वैद्य थे और उन्होंने ही इस बॉटनी जगत की स्थापना करने में अपना योगदान किया, इसीलिए वो फादर ऑफ द बॉटनी। सो फादर ऑफ द बॉटनी इज थियोफ्रास्टस. And later on, the study has been made. Even you have a name of Dioscorides, who's a physician. And even if I'm just talking about the Linnaeus, so Linnaeus is also the doctor, and he turned later on the what we can say the famous taxonomist. So the point comes into mind that this is showing the relationship of the plants with the human being to cure the disease. As I just talking about that, the human is totally depending on the biodiversity, because once we are getting the what we can say the food, we are getting the shelter, we are getting even the oxygen from the plants. So our life is totally depending on the biodiversity. But very important aspect of these plants, particularly, or certain animals has also been used in the medicinal sector also. But the point of this that now another very important question is that what are medicinal plants? The medicinal plants are those plants which have been recognized with their medicinal value. For example, we can say the Withania somnifera. We can say another important ginkgo biloba, for example. So we are just talking about that. Aloe vera, as we just talk about the tulsi. So as we just talk about the aloe vera. So these are some examples you can say. Even we can say the neem. So everybody is familiar with these plants. Why this is we are familiar with this plant? Because they are having some chemicals, and that chemicals have been used to cure some certain type of diseases, and we are getting the benefits from these plants. So the plant which having the recognized medicinal value or the use is called the medicinal plant. Their use of this what we can say the medicinal plant is ultimately going into the pharmaceutical products, to the herbal medicinal products or preparations. And herbal medicine is one of the oldest form of medical treatment in human history, and could be considered as one of the forerunner in the modern pharmaceutical traits. So these are the base, we can say, that we are talking about the how the plants have been useful into the medicinal use. Either we can say the herbal medicine. Now we are also talking at present. We are also talking about the herbal medicine. There we are always calling that these are not harmful to the human body. So another one is that once we are getting the 10,000 chemicals from directly from plants as well as the animal, and we are making the more polymers, and we are using the synthetic chemicals, and then we are getting the medicine from these chemicals. So these are harmful for the human body also. So the pharmaceuticals with having the herbal medicine is more popular now. Either we can take an example. We are finding that these plants have been recognized by the various workers or the various medical practitioners. Now the another point is that as we just talk about that the medicinal plant, those which are having the medicinal utility or medicinal जो quality है, but point of this that the medicinal plant refers to those plants which seeds, berries, leaves, bark, flower or roots can be used for the medicinal purposes. Either we are talking about the tulsi, either we are talking about the turmeric, either we are talking about the aloe vera. So these are the, either any one part can be used, whole part of the plant can be used, but certain part may be used. So this is a medicinal plant. For example, if I'm just this, because tulsi is very much recognized in throughout the Indian subcontinent, because tulsi help them into the blood purification. The tulsi help them into the against the malaria as well as the dengue fever. The dengue, for example, if I'm just putting my dengue, so the dengue again the leaves of papaya, they have been also been utilized in a dengue. So once the what we can say the microbes are spreading the disease, so the plants are helping them into the curing these diseases. The tulsi, chewing of the tulsi can relieve from cold and flu. We are taking the tea of the tulsi, chewing 12 leaves of the basil twice a day prevent the stress. So tulsi is very important one. Tulsi along with the honey and ginger, these are effective for bronchitis, asthma, influenza, cough and cold. Even for this has been also been effective into the renal stone via the urinary tract. So the honey, along with the honey, it is very useful for so tulsi is not only the what we can say is a very small plant, very herbaceous plant, but this is very important for the human being also. So Indian subcontinent has already recognized this potential use of this tulsi. And another one is that the neem. Neem is also very connected with our culture also, either you can say. So the neem exhibits the allergic reactions. ये जो allergic reactions हैं उनके खिलाफ बहुत कारगर है और इसको externally भी लगाया जाता है और इसको खाया भी जाता है. पेट में जब कीड़े हो जाते हैं तो इसके पत्तियों का रस बड़ा कारगर होता है. इसी तरह से ये जो इंसुलिन की मात्रा है 30 से 50% तक डायबिटीज के जो पेशेंट है उनमें गिरा सकता है. तो ये this is a very useful and very common plant. Everybody is familiar with this plant. So neem extract gives significant protection from discomfort and speed the healing of the gastric problem. And even it can kill the external parasites also. So these two plants are very important, and they are what we can say that they are very kith and keen to all of us. We are very familiar with these plants, but they have been recognized with the medicinal utility. So that's why tulsi is also in our cultural parts. So tulsi is tulsi. tulsi का तो कहेंगे कि तुलसी जो है वो हिंदुस्तान की जो सब कॉन्टिनेंट है उसमें बहुत ही पूजनीय है. हर घर में तुलसी पाई जाती है. So the same is happening for the neem also. But the point of interest is that there are a number of how many numbers of medicinal plants, what is the percentage which has been recognized with the medicinal flora. So Hamilton in 2003, they have given this data and suggested that in China 30% flora has been recognized as a medicinal flora. In India 44%. So because in India 7,555 medicinal plants has been recognized. In Mexico 7% flora of the plants has been recognized as a medicinal one. Even in North America 13% of the flora has been recognized as a medicinal one. Even in if I'm just going to take the opportunity to compare it in the world, so in world 52,885 plants has been recognized for medicinal utility, and this is equal to 10 to the 18% of the medicinal plant. The Sikki Pampam et al. 2002. He also talk about the medicinal plants throughout the world. For example, in China, 18.9% of flora has been recognized with the medicinal plant species. In China, 20%. In India, 20%. Indonesia, 4.4%. In Malaysia, 7.7%. In Nepal, 10%. Pakistan, 6.1%. Philippines, 9.5%. Sri Lanka, 16.6%. Thailand, 15.5%. USA, 11.8%. Vietnam with 17.1%. And the average is 12.5%. So in the world data, 422,000 species has been identified as per the data of Sikki Pampam, out of which 52,885 species has been recognized for the medicinal utility. So this is the comparative data. If I'm just talking about the Uttarakhand flora, so Uttarakhand, 250 crude drug plants has been recognized from Uttarakhand. Crude drug plants means those plants which are into the trade. So we can find in certain mandis of Ramnagar, of either the Tanakpur and other areas also you can find these plants because they are into the trade. So they are जो medicinal के plants हैं उनकी bark या उनका जो stem है या उनकी जो leaves है उसको सुखा कर उसको बेचा जा रहा है. तो उसमें करीब 250 plants has been recognized which is under the trade from Uttarakhand. This represented as a Fabaceae with 50 species has been recognized from Fabaceae family. 42 species has been recognized from Asteraceae family. Lamiaceae having the 33 species. Euphorbiaceae with 32 species, and also this Rubiaceae is having the 27%. Cucurbidaceae is also very important family because in which the 26 species has been recognized as a medicinal one. Which is for crude one, which is for under the trade. The same one is happening for Rutaceae with 22 species, and Gingiberaceae for 22 species has been recognized with the Gingiberaceae, which is under the trade. If I'm just going to compare the world with India as well as the Uttarakhand, the worldwide around the 50,000 to 80,000 flowering plants are used medicinally in traditional system or either into the modern system of the global scale. And the World Health Organization, WHO, has estimated the demand of medicinal plant is approximately $14 billion per year. So the जो $14 billion की जो डिमांड है मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स की वो WHO वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने रिकॉग्नाइज किया है. अगर हम इंडिया के बारे में बात करें तो इंडिया में बायोडायवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट्स हैं. इंडियन हिमालयन रीजन में 18,440 प्रजातियां हैं जिनमें 27.3% जो है एंडेमिक है. सो एंडेमिक इज अ स्पीसीज दोज व्हिच आर रेस्ट्रिक्टेड टू ए एरिया. And 48,000 angiosperms has also been recognized from, out of which 18,440, 8,000 species of angiosperm has also been recognized, out of which 40% are endemic. And also, if I'm just talking about the overview of the Indian region, so 25.3% species are endemic to the Himalayan region. And 7,500 plant species have been recognized from India for medicinal utility. In India, there is a 1 million community based on traditional worker, and 6 lakh licensed medicinal practitioner has also been recognized, which curing method is a traditional system like the Ayurveda, Siddha as well as the Unani method. Even if I'm just going to the Uttarakhand, 4,700 species of the plant under the 1,503 genera. And 213 family has been recognized by the Unial et al. In 2007 from Uttarakhand, and out of which 27% of the total angiospermic flora has been recognized from Uttarakhand. Maximum species of medicinal plant, 1748 species has been recognized from Indian Himalayan region, and out of which 1748, the 701 species has been recognized from the Uttarakhand. So this data has been given by the Samant et al. Samant et al. Recognized the diversity of medicinal plants from Indian Himalayan region, and he recognized that 1,748 medicinal plants from the Indian Himalayan region, out of which 1,685 angiosperm, 12 gymnosperm, and 51 pteridophyta has also been recognized. So the herb is more in 1,748. 1,020 herbs, 335 shrubs, and 333 tree, and 51 species of pteridophyta has also been recognized. This is a sub total of, which is again, I'm totaling these one as suggested by the Samant et al. 1,748 species from recognized from the Indian Himalayan region. And as we just familiar with these plant species, we are using them in throughout our life without consulting the doctor, you can say. So we are using directly these plants. Basically, these have been used by the indigenous people. We are also using them. Those who are living into the town areas, big cities, metropolitan cities, they are also been using these plants because they are not going to take the medicine directly. So they are using these plants. For example, the tulsi, which is very helpful in cold and cough. The leaves, tea is a very important one, you can say. The jambul, the neem, all parts of neems has been used. Skin diseases, antiseptic. Even the sarpagandha, the root Rauwolfia has been used for against the blood pressure as well as the heart disease. Cinchona bark has been used in malaria. Ashwagandha is very now very under the COVID period. This ashwagandha is again a very popular one. Again, you can say because it can increase the strength. So the root has been used. The amla is also been used. Amla is very popular, which is a rich source of vitamin C and iron. This another one is a subgol, which the stomach disorder. We can use the subgol. Ginger, we are using ginger anytime. You can say the sore throat and cold. Cotton, we are also using them. Even we are using the sal, teak, wheat, sugarcane, mango, pulses, as well as the bamboo. So the bamboo is being used for making huts. The another point is that there are certain common drugs which we are finding it from the plants. As I just pointed out into the dengue. The dengue, we are now we are using the papaya leaves in the dry stage because it act very powerfully against the dengue. So in this another one is the penicillin. Penicillin comes from the fungus which is known as the penicillium. So the quinine comes from cinchona, atropa from belladonna, the caffeine from tea and coffee, cocaine from cocoa, the morphine comes from opium which is called the poppy, the menthol comes from mint, and papain from papaya, tetracycline from bacterium, and reserpine comes from the Rauwolfia, so which can control the blood pressure. Even once we talk about the plants, how we are utilizing these plants, these are very familiar to all of us. But there are certain plants which have been used commercially. The unplanned, what we can say, the harvesting has been done. So now these are threatened one. For example, the athis, the Aconitum heterophyllum. Now it is belongs to the ranunculus, which is a very useful medicinal plant. The thunair, which is also the very important one, Taxus baccata. The taxol has been prepared from thunair. The satua, Paris porifolia. This is also the endangered plant. The banajwine, Thymus sapilum. The agni, Pittosporum. This is again a threatened plant. The lagli, Gloriosa superba. So these are the medicinal plants which due to the overexploitation, these have been recognized as a threatened plants. So some of them are having the endangered category also. Now I'm just showing some the pictures of these what we can say the rare plants, threatened plants. So for example, the athis, Aconitum heterophyllum, which is growing in Uttarakhand above the height of 3,600 to 4,500 meter height, which has been used as dysentery against the dysentery, stomach odor, fever, cough, and cold. The Gobiara bish, Aconitum levi, which is used as a folk medicine, and it is growing 2,500 to 3,500 meter height. The Dudatis, Aconitum violatium. This belongs to the Ranunculaceae family, and this is used against the cough, cold, stomach pain, fever, bronchitis, as well as the epilepsy. And another one is the Saussurea costus, and this is a Asteraceae family. This cough, asthma, bronchitis, fever, leprosy, vomiting, and scabies. Another one is the Hattajari or Salem panja, the Dactylorhiza hattajari. This is an orchid. This belongs to the Orchidaceae, and which is useful against the cut and wound. The Geotra lilium giganteum, which is used against the wound as well as the bruises. Satua, Paris polyfolia. This is again used in headache, fever, diarrhea, asthma, bronchitis. This is growing in Uttarakhand, 1,800 to 2,600 meter height. Chandrayan, Paeonia imodai. Paeonia imodai is a very important one, which is very popular in Garhwal region. 2,100 to 2,600 meter height. This is used in diarrhea, colic, headache, as well as the dropsy. Another one is the Meda and Mahameda. Meda Polygonatum cerifolium, Mahameda Polygonatum verticillium. So these are helping them against the burning sensation, fever, anoxia, and general debility. So these two very important plants, but they are again onto the very few population has been recognized from Uttarakhand. This Meda and Mahameda. The Nayar or Nirpati, the Bajradanti Potentilla fulgens. This is again very common in Uttarakhand. Bajradanti is very common, which is growing 1,600 to 4,800 meter height. This is growing well above into the higher zones. And in the Nair or Nirpati, 2,800 to 3,500 meter height. The another one is the Bhojpatra. Bhojpatra has been recognized with the high altitude zone, and this is having the medicinal utility also. Wound, dysentery, jaundice. The another one is the Hippopi salicifolia, chook. So chook, the cuts and wounds, ulcer, cold and dandruffs. The another one is the raga. Raga is the Abies spectabilis, higher zone plant, higher gymnosperm. This is a very gymnosperm, which is again a medicinal utility, which is growing well, 2,400 to 4,000 meter. The asthma, bronchitis and rheumatism, Thunner, Texas baccata, 1,800 to 3,400 meter. The asthma, bronchitis, cough, indigestion and diarrhea. The somlata or chepat, Ephedra gerardiana. Ephedrine has been prepared from this ephedra. This is a gymnosperm, rheumatism, pneumonia and syphilis. The amalthas, Khajia fistula is also the medicinal plant. This is up to the 1,300 meter. This is a lower altitude plant. Dysentery, skin disease, leprosy and burning sensation. This another one is a Dola. Dola is a Woodfordia fruticosa. Dysentery, leprosy, toothache, as well as the thirst. Another one is a Terminalia chibula. This is now very important one. Harar. Harar is now it is used in against the cough, eye disease, tumor, bleeding, asthma, vomiting. So it is helping them into the stomach digestion also. So these plants which are just showing that these are under the threatened category, but they are very useful for the human being. Now we are talking about the Ashtavarga plant. The Ashtavarga plants are very important plants. As we know that the Ashtavarga plants means there is a group of the 8 medicinal plants with high medicinal value and revitalizing property. And this includes the Jivak, which is called the Melexis acuminata, Risbak, called the Melexis muscifera, Meda polygonatum verticillium, Mahameda polygonatum cerifolium,
Sir, it's time
Kakoli
to
fritillaria. Hello.
Hello, sir. 2 or 3 minutes left, sir. Please.
Yeah, Kakoli, Kriskakoli, Riddhi, and Vriddhi. So these are, I'm just going into a very quick. So these plants are very important one because these plants has been what we can say identified by the Rishi Chavan. And Rishi Chavan, who is rejuvenating his body through the meditation, and he used these 8 medicinal plants. So that's why this is called the Ashtavarga. And this is now on the because that had been discovered, their power has been discovered by the Chavan. So these are called the Chavan Pras. So Chavan Pras is having these Ashtavarga. So Ashtavarga is very important, you can say. So this one of them is the Melexis acuminata. This is the pseudobulbs has been used. This is an endangered one. The Melexis muscifera, pseudobulbs, endangered species again. Polygonatum verticillium. This is again a vulnerable species. Polygonatum cerifolium. This is a vulnerable species. Fritillaria. This is again an endangered species. Lilium polyphyllum, Liliaceae. This is an endangered species again. The Habenaria intermedia. This is growing 1,500 to 2,000 meter height. This is again an endangered one. Habenaria asworthi. This is again an orchid. This is an endangered species. So there are these Ashtavarga plants. Only the Polygonatum verticillium and Polygonatum cerifolium is vulnerable, and also the Habenaria intermedia is a vulnerable one, and rest of them are endangered. So they are into the what we can say that they are into the stage of extinction. So we have to think about that. We have to go for the conservation. So we have to go for what we can say the forest fire is responsible for that. So we have to find the legal way that how much plants we can extract from the nature, and what we are going to give the for the cultivation of these plants. So either we can go for the ex situ conservation, or either we can go for the in situ conservation. So these points, what we can say, either the legal points that can help them into the conservation of these plants. So these ultimately, once we will find these our points to conserve the plant, then definitely we can find these plants are going to be conserved. So otherwise, these plants which has been identified the Rishi Chavan, we cannot get the benefit, or either what we can say the अगर मैं उसको कहूंगा कि मिलावट का च्यवनप्राश खाएंगे फिर हम कोविड का मुकाबला कैसे कर पाएंगे। तो ये तमाम बातें हम सबको समझनी चाहिए, और जो पौधे हैं उनकी जिसे हम जैव विविधता कहते हैं, जैव विविधता के अंतर्गत हमें we have to think about that, we have to find that how we can go for the sustainability of this environment. So we have to sustain the whole universe, and once we are going to sustain this whole environment, so ultimately we are completing our duty. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a nice and very knowledgeable